Our project began like all others in Honors 2000. During the class where we were all deciding on our wicked problems, one of our group members brought up that she really wanted to become a mother someday, and ovarian cancer was a potential threat for women's fertility. We started out with an idea for a questionnaire, maybe contained in an app, where women would check boxes for things that apply to them in situations they've been in to get a recommendation for if they should be checked for ovarian cancer. This came from ovarian cancer's colloquial status as a silent killer since it's so difficult to detect in the early phases. The main early symptoms include bloating, a dull pain in the lower back, constipation, and an intense loss in appetite. Obviously, these early symptoms are tough to catch since they could all just be products of an unhealthy lifestyle. It was already in all of our minds that this would be our problem. We wanted to increase awareness for the early symptoms of ovarian cancer. Soon after, we added PCOS and endometriosis to our agenda since we figured related diseases would be easy to cover in the same app. Then we learned about two big problems with our master plan. First of all, apps are expensive. Second of all, delivering a recommendation like that without being a licensed medical professional can actually get you sued, which would probably also cost us money. Though our app was criticized into the ground during our poster presentation and the first Honors 3000 presentation, we didn't waste any time getting started again. We made a lot of good contacts with health professionals and started to open up communication with women's health foundations. Notably, we contacted She-Rock, Speak Endo, and Soul Sisters. Mid-semester, everything was looking pretty solid. We were planning to do a tabling event to attract women to sign up for PCOS screenings, which are totally covered with student health insurance. We were also corresponding with She-Rocks and Sigma Alpha Omega, and we're hoping to get a speaker from one of the two for a passport event later in the semester. All of the big roadblocks hit around the same time. First, we learned we wouldn't be able to host a tabling event for appointments through Student Health Services since our contact informed us that Student Health can't run a booth. Speak Endo and Soul Sisters had never gotten back to us, and we didn't have the money to pay for a speaker for our passport event since we'd focused more on getting contacts and fundraising at the beginning of the semester. Then, we found the redeeming experience of the project and the best contact we could have hoped to make. The National Polycystic Ovary Syndrome Association, also known as the PCOS Challenge, was hosting an event in early March where advocates would meet with their own representatives in DC to advocate for more PCOS legislation. It just so happened to line up with our spring break, so 5 of us registered and made travel arrangements. It was practically a no-brainer. We even got in contact with the head of the association, Sasha Adi, who wanted to know more about our project and who offered us some helpful resources before we even arrived in DC, like symptom cards about the illnesses. DC was incredible. On the first day of the event, we heard from several speakers who educated us on their own personal PCOS stories, the economics of PCOS, and the full effects it can have on an affected individual. It was a bit daunting as a bunch of college students being around people who either had jobs directly related to PCOS or whose lives had been shaped by the illness, but it was a very welcoming environment nonetheless. Most people there seemed excited to talk to us and happy that we decided to hone in on PCOS, and gave us a lot of good feedback on our project. The second day of the event was spent meeting with our representatives. We were promoting House Resolution 864, which would designate September as PCOS Awareness Month. We were also trying to find co-sponsors for a bill that would call for a study on the causes of PCOS and for additional NIH funding. By the end of the day, we had met with staffers of North Carolina Representatives David Price, David Rouser, and Senator Richard Burke. The 5 of us who went to DC returned reinvigorated and ready to try our hardest for the rest of the semester, and brought that energy to the rest of the group. Though the possibility of a tabling event or passport event had sailed out of sight, we wanted to make sure we had something done this semester. So, in place of these, we went to the new Student Center and handed out 50 informational cards about PCOS by hand, and left stacks at the Women and Gender Office and LGBTQ+ office. What we learned this semester is that you have to be persistent until your goal comes to fruition. With the sole exception of the DC trip, every plan we had fell through from losing our contacts, and some of those instances could have been salvaged by being more persistent. But as with the rest of our lives, we'll carry those mistakes with us and learn from them. And maybe in Honors 4500, with one of our group members carrying the torch, those original visions will end up becoming a reality. So as the sun sets on this class, though our grand aspirations may not have been fully realized, our project has a future. And in the future, there's always hope.